My topic for my big baller brain idea I chose was the topic of pollution through wasted energy. Every single year, commercial businesses spend $190 billion on energy. Approximately 30% of that power is wasted. That means $57 billion is wasted every single year for nothing. But money isn't the main problem. The main problem is the pollution caused by that wasted energy. We are losing money and making pollution at the same time. And my solution is smart home automation. My project consisted of a combination between software and hardware. For my software in my project, I used PuTTY, I used remote desktop connection, and I used Home Assistant. All of that software with the hardware that I bought, which is a Raspberry Pi with a couple of components like transceivers and receivers so I could intercept signals, gave me the ability to intercept signals on certain frequencies so I could control them. So I'm guessing that most people in this classroom haven't ever touched a subject like this, so I'm going to just go over a couple of the main components that I use and explain them in more depth. My project was centered around a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is just a super small computer that runs with a different operating system than others. A Raspberry Pi has a unique operating system called Raspbian. Raspbian is very much like Linux, if you know what that is. It's solely based off a command prompt. So basically, if I want to do anything, I just have to type in code in this special language called Python. Just like how there's tons of different languages in our world today, there's tons of different computing languages as well. One of the main ones is Python. Python is an interpreted high-level general-purpose programming language. Python's design philosophy emphasizes code readability. Its language constructs an object-oriented approach aimed to help programmers write clear, logical code for small and large-scale projects. For those of you that didn't understand the previous slide, Python is just a type of coding that makes it so people could easily understand what they're doing. All right, so next I'm just going to talk about some of the software that I used. So all of you guys should know what software is. Software is just the coded programs that are on your computer. So for my project, I used software like PuTTY and remote desktop connection. To start off talking about software, I'm going to start with the software PuTTY. PuTTY is basically a way for me to remotely connect to my Pi's command prompt. On the screen where you see it says hostname or IP address, that's where I typed in my Raspberry Pi's IP address. So after that, all I had to do was type in the username of my Raspberry Pi account and the password, and then I was in the command prompt. So I said in the previous slide that you needed to know your IP address. For those of you who don't know what an IP address is, it's like your identification number for your computer. It's basically your computer's social security card. One of the next main key components of my project was remote desktop connection. This software was software that allowed me to put files on my Raspberry Pi through my normal computer. It just made it easier to transfer information. So basically what I did is where you see computer on the screen, I put in the IP address of my Pi and did the same stuff as before with PuTTY, and I was able to access its files and transfer data to it. Next, I'll be going over Home Assistant. Home Assistant is a piece of software that allowed me to use in combination with my Raspberry Pi to control outlets on the signal of 433 megahertz. More basically, Home Assistant is like the middleman. Why is any of this relevant? The reason this is relevant is because large corporations could use the same software and hardware to automate their businesses to raise their efficiency. Even if they were just able to raise it 5%, that's billions of dollars that would be saved in pollution that wouldn't have to happen. So what I hope everyone got out of my project was that if I can do home automation, I think billion-dollar corporations can too. If they can even just automate their businesses to turn off lights and fans at weird hours in the night, then they could save billions of dollars and actually prevent the world from a lot of CO2 emissions. Thank you for listening to this boring presentation, and I hope you guys have learned something.